now. This is B Hope. She's going to be doing the interview. There we go. We are recording now. Okay, we're on.
All right, it says I need permission to record.
Let's see here. How do we do that? Yes, we'll give him permission here. Allow record. There we go. There we go. That should be recording now. Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, so it's great to have you with us, Ryan.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
So would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I was making sure my phone was turned down here, so I don't get any dings or interruptions. I'm going to hear my dryer beeping, so. I don't know. What do you want to know? Some people know who I am. Some people don't, so.
Well, why don't you just give us an introduction about who you are, what you like to do?
My name's Ryan Nixon. I am 48 years old. I'm a retired Navy parachute rigger, or otherwise known as a aircrew survival equipmentman. I served about 21 years in the United States Navy and was hired by Warner Brothers shortly before my retirement. And I was already doing prop and costuming as a hobby. And unbeknownst to me, the prop master walked into my shop, and so when I said those words, he was like, "Oh, really?" And he took my information and left. I never thought I'd hear from the guy again, and I got an email like an hour later asking me some more questions, and then that was on a Tuesday, and by Saturday I was officially hired and meeting the director and everybody else, and boom, off to Hollywood. So but didn't actually go to Hollywood. They kind of came to me, but that was I was considered a local. So that was another check in the block for them, me being non-union. So being non-union, then they have to have more, I guess, reasons to hire you.
Yeah.
So they have to hire so many locals, they have to hire so many union, and it's all this big complicated stuff.
And was that for Green Lantern?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, cool. I like that movie. That was a really cool movie.
It was a good movie. A lot of people still bash it, mostly Ryan, but I trolled him not too long ago and tried to get his attention, but I don't think he saw it. He's a little too busy. But after he bought Aviation Gin, I thought that was pretty funny. And his commercials, I don't know if you guys have seen them, but they're absolutely hilarious. You can go on.
I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah, just Google Aviation Gin commercials and go on YouTube, and they're not always child friendly, but anybody over 18, you'd be fine. They're Deadpool level jokes sometimes. So but I went to I looked everything up and found out, more about the guys that he bought it from, or basically became the owner. Well, what it looks like is there was a company in New York City that actually acquired it through these guys, but Ryan's the main shareholder type thing.
Oh, cool.
So it's still made in the exact same place by the exact same people, but he owns all rights to it now. So they're actually not even allowed to sell it out of their own distillery in Portland, Oregon. So when I went down there, it's not even on the shelf. I'm like, well, isn't it made here? He goes, it is, but they own all the rights and we just make it and ship it out. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy, but yeah, I mean, there you go for manufacturing, relabeling and all that. But he pretty much left everything exactly. He just wanted to own it because it was. But I don't know if you saw his latest movie, Six Underground on Netflix.
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
You should check it out. It's very adult oriented and, it's quite violent and a tad gory. But again, Deadpool level stuff. But Michael Bay did it. So there's tons of explosions, and it's Deadpool meets Bad Boys meets Swordfish.
Oh, cool.
Do you remember the old Swordfish movie with Halle Berry, Hugh Jackman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. So he's this
Oh, cool.
millionaire that takes on terrorists, and it's a really cool premise. And they did kind of leave it open, so but they released it straight to Netflix, which was it kind of sucked because it would have been really good in the theater, I think. But
Yeah.
I think they're testing a new market, and being
Mhm.
that the way things are right now, that might even have been a good idea for them to do. But he had the gin, like they did a whole close up of it at the bar scene, and it was hilarious. I mean, it was just ridiculous the level of marketing and stuff that, obviously the creative control Ryan had too, but
Mhm.
the movie's hilarious. It's very well done, and I mean, it's a theater quality movie. It's not just some Netflix thrown together thing. But anyway, I went to the distillery. I took my Ferris aircraft cup, and it's over there in the case. But
Oh.
I don't know, you can see it's
Oh,
right
wow.
right
That's
there. That
so
was my coffee mug from the movie,
Oh,
and
cool.
it was on my desk in the movie, but I took it all the way to Portland, packed it all up in my suitcase and everything. But I went by the distillery and I held it up. So if you go to
Oh,
my TikTok account, which is under Stitches Law, there's a whole really funny trolling video thing I did for Ryan, but I don't know if he'll ever see it. But some
nice.
people saw it and they thought it was pretty hilarious. So,
That
but
sounds really funny. So,
but
would
yeah.
you tell us a little bit about Stitches Loft and the things you make there? I've been to your site and it's absolutely mind blowing, but for people who haven't yet.
Well, I don't know how mind blowing the site is. I could use a little work. Actually, I was talking to Steve, one of my webmasters, the other day, and I was like, "We need to clean this up again." And it was just an idea that kind of blew up. I had no idea like how far this was gonna go. And I'm sorry, I keep looking over here because I have a dual monitor, so the camera's here and you're over here. So
Yeah,
I'm,
same. It's like, which way do I look on this?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna try to
boy,
look here so everybody.
same.
But I can't see your facial expressions and.
It's fine.
But yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I was making stuff for a few friends, but after the movie, and it was literally like drinking out of the fire hose on set. I had one gal about 3/4 of the way through the movie. They hired some more people on, and just they needed extra help. I think we were getting close to crunch time, and we were a little behind, not extremely, but they were behind on filming a little bit. And this was probably mid-June of
Mhm.
2010. So, you're still about a year out. So it's time to start wrapping things up because everything's got to go to post and you got to do, visual effects and get it all edited and so all that. But this gal came on and we were just sitting there talking one day under one of the canopies, and she's like, "Well, how many movies have you done?" She goes, "You're getting paid, right?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm getting paid." And she's like, "But how many movies have you done?" And I said, "Counting this one?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Two." And she goes, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Do you know how long I had to intern just to even get to this level?" And like she'd been doing this for years, and she was a little upset, but I was like, well, I can't work on every movie, but this is kind of in my wheelhouse, and it was the flight gear thing, it was making sure everything looked correct. And I'm working for, I started out working for Drew, and Drew is probably the most amazing boss I've ever had in my entire life, and even all through my career in the Navy. And I worked for some really amazing people, and through the years. And it's just he's just he was prior Navy too, so we kind of had that. I don't know. He was about 4 years older than me, so he had like done his 4 years in the Navy and got out, went back home, kind of putzed around. It was a family job, and like he's like third generation prop master. His dad or his uncle did the original Ghostbusters. I mean,
Oh my word.
yeah, and they call prop masters below the line. Like you're not considered anything in Hollywood. You're you're not much more fancier than the sound guy or the lighting guy, or you're just
I'm a
they
total
go
behind the scenes geek, so I'm like, all of that sounds horribly exciting. So,
well. It is, especially if you've never been around it. I was geeking out big time, I'm like, I'm on this $1 million movie set. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, we had to blue screen everything because most of the stuff was green and they couldn't use green screen because it just wouldn't work. But just seeing these sets and these massive jets and like, I'm a perfectionist and I had always had been, especially with costuming and stuff. So I really had to learn, okay, where do you draw the line between realism, Hollywood, and, well, we got to get it right. And, that's something I've always been critical with myself, and I have a tendency to be critical with others because I know that you can do it right, but a lot of times there's a money factor. So that was the whole reason for kind of starting my business. I wanted to bring a level of Hollywood quality to, and I hate this word, but I'll use it, to the cosplay arena. I don't like the word cosplay. I consider myself a costumer, a professional costumer, and just a lot of people use that term. And to me, that came out of anime and that type of genre. But it's all kind of come together now. So
Yeah, it's been really neat to see different people and different genres come together and see how that's evolved.
yeah, and I don't mind people that quote unquote cosplay. A lot of my customers do, and that's fine. That's a fine line there, and there's people that I consider professional costumers that are going out, they're doing charity work, or they're actually getting paid for it, or they have some type of sponsorship or whatever. They're doing it professionally.
Yeah, it's amazing what some of these people do. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring a level of Hollywood quality to the cosplay world without that Hollywood price tag.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it as cheap and as affordable as I could, but yet still try to be the best that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was more of my mission statement, even though I probably didn't come up with one. I just, I was like, how can I do it the absolute better than anybody else, but still make it affordable for most people, And I know there's people that are, especially now, really struggling and on a budget, and I get that. But I was the first one to turn people away from just, I would get customers coming to me and go, oh, this is my very first cosplay, and I want the off-world jacket, the vest, and all. I'm like, whoa, dude, you're talking like $1,200-$1,500. Let's slow down a little bit here, And I don't mind making that stuff. I don't, but I
Quality
wanted,
takes time, and that costs money, and you need to be paid for what you do.
yeah, and I even talk about in my jacket video. I'm like, I don't want to sell you a $300 off-world jacket if you're only going to wear it once and then put it in the closet and not wear it again. My type of stuff is designed, you can wear it every day. My first jacket I still own, and I wore it every day for years to and from work. I just wore it as a fan, blue jeans and a t-shirt and throw on my Stargate jacket. You know what? But it faded beautifully. You could put it on a mannequin and put it right next to a screen use costume, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference 5 feet away.
That's so cool. And I heard that you've been on the Stargate set.
I did the tour back.
Oh, how was that? I'm a huge Stargate fan. So what was that like?
That was amazing. That entire weekend. Now you want to talk about spend some money, because I was in Atlanta. I bought the tickets to go fly all the way from Atlanta to Vancouver, British Columbia. Then I had to pay for the convention tickets, and then, food and hotel. And I don't remember, but it was thousands. But it was a weekend I'll never forget. I mean, that was the weekend that Amanda reenlisted me in the Navy. I got to tour the entire set, see both sound stages, the SG-1 and the Atlantis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they did one professional photograph for us, and I'm trying to remember that. Yeah, it's actually my avatar here on Zoom. It's the one standing in front of the Atlantis gate. A lot of people think it's Photoshop because it was so professionally done, but I actually have a picture of me on the set standing there getting my picture taken because my buddy took it. And it's funny because I had my SG1 stuff on, and he had his Atlanta stuff on. And when we got to the Atlanta set, I was like, and they, this was 2006, so they were in like second or third season. And I think it was second season was still airing. They were filming the third, something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
So we know that, Pegasus Project and all that, they didn't get SG1. They didn't show them till like,
Yeah.
way later when Mike finally got out there. But it was just, I was like, I got to have the right costume. So I asked him to switch with me. So I told the photographer to cut me off at the waist because I'm actually wearing green pants. And I'm wearing the Atlantis jacket and a okay vest. It wasn't the best vest, so that's why I turned. So it was, but yeah, it was, to see it, I sat in a puddle jumper.
Oh my God.
I walked up the ramp. I have photographs that would just blow your mind. Hopefully my recording works too. I'll throw some of these up over here.
Oh, cool.
Somewhere I'll throw them up and post this video later too. They're always better when you can throw pictures up. I'm still trying to finish my other edit with Dean, but he talked about so much. I was trying to pull all these photographs up and throw stuff up, but yeah, I've been slacking on. I haven't posted a video in a year on my channel. And I've just been totally slacking. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this giveaway at 1,000. I'm like approaching 2,000. So I've got a couple of giveaways I need to go back and do still. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do my 1,000 one that I promised everybody, even though I'm way past it. I want to get Dean's video up, and then I'm gonna start some other stuff and just basically do them back to back, and that should roll me into 2,000 subscribers.
And that's Dean Aylesworth, right?
Well, that's what?
That's Dean Aylesworth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he played Anubis in the Stargate. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, our interview ended up being so long, I had to cut it in the first half is over an hour, and the second half is like an hour and a half. It's like ridiculous. But him and I, we just talked. It was just, and that's what I really have tried to do with really my first one was just mind-blowing for me, because to interview the little girl from the 94 Stargate movie, and now she's a grown woman, and it was like, she just happened to comment on one of my videos.
Oh, that's amazing.
And she's like, oh, I was the little girl from Stargate. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And I looked up her name. I'm like, oh my God, that is her. And I went to her IMDb page, and I'm like, whoa, that's Kelly Bent Castro. That's the actual little girl from the movie. I couldn't have told you what her real name was. She was just a little girl. She was Catherine. But then the old lady was in the movie for the, so it was so random, and I'm like, what? And so I sent her a message. I'm like, would you do an interview for my channel? She's like, oh yeah. It took us a while to get it set up, but we finally did, and finally got our Zoom thing going. And she was in a hotel and took time away from her husband and her family to sit there and talk to me. And we tested it like the day before, because I'd never really done this. But oh my gosh, it was just, the things that she talked about, her personal life, everything from her personal struggles in her life and stuff that, was really none of my business. And for her to share those type of things and talk about, overcoming them, and, the things that her and her husband had went through relationship wise, and getting remarried, and, all this, her kids. And so she has a daughter that's not her biological daughter, that came from her husband's side.
Mm-hmm.
She looks just like her. I'm not kidding you. Go watch my video. We pull it up. I put a picture of her as a little girl from the movie in 94 with her daughter. I got permission. I said, can I put this picture up of your daughter? And she's like, yeah. They look like twins. and it's not even her bloodline. It was crazy, you know, but
Yeah.
she just talked about, you know, the laws of attraction and, you know, how her and her husband met. And so they every year have been going over to Egypt and doing these kind of family trips and
Oh, cool.
all really neat things. She got a hold of me again before all this madness. She had just went over to Egypt again, took a whole, it was a women's retreat type thing.
Oh,
And
cool.
she wanted to surprise everybody with raw pendants. And I was like, oh, that's not going to be cheap. And she's like, I know, there's no way I can afford it, but is there something else you could make? And I'm like, you know what? Let me talk to Mark, you know, because that's the big thing with me. You know, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I can't afford this, you know, I don't just turn people away. I started doing the layaway plans and payment plans for people, you know, and Kelly did a lot for me with that video. And I was like, let me talk to Mark. So we talked to Mark, we crunched the numbers, and we gave her a pretty smoking deal that I probably wouldn't have done for anybody else. But you know, it's who she is, you know,
Yeah.
and I couldn't just, you know, turn my back on that. And
If
so
Catherine asks you for raw pendants, I mean, you're gonna find a way.
you got to deliver, you know, you just got to man up and deliver. And luckily she needed like 6. She's like,
Oh, wow.
I need 6. And then I got back from Chicago and took a ton of them out there. Mark, we had gotten all stocked up for Chicago. Well, Chicago didn't turn out to be that great. I mean, the sales were good for who was there, but the attendance was down. So I took a hit on sales a little bit, and I had shelled out, oh my God, way too much before, and I just didn't budget as well as I should have been. But it ended up I had 6 left over.
Oh,
So
wow.
you know, she needed them quick too. That was another thing. They were getting ready to leave. Like she was like finalizing the trip and everything. I'm like, well, when do you need? She's like, a couple weeks. I'm like, oh, I'm like, how many? And she told me, and I was like, so I ran out and I counted, and I only found 5 right away. And then I was like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
wait a minute, the display model's still on the thing. And I went and grabbed, now that one, well, that one right there,
Oh, wow. I wondered if that's what that was. I saw it and I was like, oh, is that?
that one there is actually the one from Origins.
No way. You got the one from Origins?
Well, there was 2. There was, and the one that they show close up, and this was a little pet peeve of mine, but they went with something that was fancier, I guess. So it wasn't accurate. The one that they showed up close wasn't accurate. Mine ended up being the stunt pendant. So if that doesn't tell you quality and durability, they did break one, and they kind of lashed it back together and shortened it and whatnot. But after I got them back, then I got asked if the director could buy one. So I sent one of them back, and she got it, and I kept that one. That's screen use stunt version. And I
So
did make them. The part of the agreement was that I did get a COA from production. And so that one's not going nowhere. That one's mine. And that was our 3rd version. We kind of, the first version was a little larger, and Mark took it down just a little bit and fine tuned it, and made it, or it was smaller. The first one, I'm sorry, it was smaller. The second one's a little more accurate size wise. And then we updated the chain to get it a little closer to the original, because you just, the chain in the movie one was a little bit different than the one in the series. They all varied a little bit.
yeah.
So this is kind of like, that's hard to do. Well, it's backwards. So that's the 3.0 version, and we've kind of combined all the different looks and ideas into one, and that's kind of the most accurate that
Yeah,
we've
that
come up
that
with.
is so cool. So
But
did you make the ones for the Catherine Origins Stargate?
well, these were the stunt ones that were used in all the stunt scenes. So when they were fighting and flipping around and all that. So she wore that for the close-ups. The hero one, that was cast off of one of the old gliders, and it was a fan made type one. I know the guy that did it, but I didn't understand production, like not wanting to use something that was pretty much as accurate as you're going to get. And they went with this other one that had like black shading and tarnish on it. Well, gold doesn't tarnish. I mean,
Yeah.
look at King Tut's mask. It just, gold doesn't tarnish, and it doesn't have shadowing and all that. But hey, it was out of my control. So I was told certain things, and that didn't happen, and whatever. So I was disappointed when the trailer came out, to say the least. I felt like, okay, where, because we jumped through a butt to get them done and get them FedExed out there in time, because they waited till the last minute. And that's the movie industry. That's television. It's hurry up and wait. And and then a lot of times it's, oh well, we need it now, and it's like, okay. And I knew that, I was used to dealing with that. And even on set, there was days where we go to work on something and then something breaks, and then they want to jump to something else that you're not ready to do, because that was still a week or two out. But that's where you got to try to be ready for anything. And that was one of the things that Drew really taught me. There was no really just sitting around. If you weren't working on what you were supposed to be working on, then go work on something else. And he liked my work ethic. He liked how hard, and he saw, and as a consultant, most of them, they just sit there in a chair and they're like, oh, no, you need to do it this way. I was hands-on. I'm building helmets. And, once he saw how much I was into it and engaged, instead of just going and find somebody else to listen to what I was saying, he just let me do it because it was easier, I think. And then costume department, props and costume, they don't get along a lot of times. It's a whole different world when you get up to the Hollywood level, because costume is above the line. You got all these award-winning costume designers, and I'm working for Nyla Dixon, like she did Lord of the Rings. Okay,
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
awesome.
I'm just some Navy meathead telling her she's doing it wrong. So that didn't go over like well right away. She's like, well, why can't we cut that hose off? I'm like, you don't cut a hose off a G suit. That's what plugs into the plane. And she's like, yeah, but the planes aren't real. I'm like, that doesn't mean you cut it off. And I'm just like, and all the girls that work for, they're like, you can't tell her no. I'm like, yeah, I can. That's my job. I'm here to tell you what you're doing wrong. But it was enlightening, to say the least. And I won a few battles and I lost a few battles. So that's all I'll say. But we didn't cut the hose off. But yeah, there was just certain thing, there was one day I was fitting Blake to a G suit, and I was butting heads because I spent all this time prepping and working ahead of time and foreseeing what was going to go wrong. And I started working on her and Ryan's G suit way ahead of time, and I pretty much had them ready to go. Well, then when we got ready to fit, she brings this other piece of junk in, and I'm like, what is this? And it was some Air Force one, and it had been highly modified, and it was like the zippers were broken. It was super old. It was just an old surplus piece of junk. You could have went down to some Army Navy store and got this thing for $50. And I had her like a brand new one that we had kicking around. And it was one that we had that didn't fit somebody, and because it was so small, and I knew it was going to fit her. I even had to alter it illegally by Navy standards I had to take it in to get it small enough to even fit her because she's so tiny. She's
Wow.
tall, but yeah, Blake Lively, she's like a size 2. I mean, she's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Ryan, he's got like a 32-inch waist, which isn't a big deal for a guy, but he's 6'4". So by the time you get anything that fits his legs, it's 4 sizes too big, you know. So these two are not like, you know, easy to fit. This was a lot of work, and I found one for Ryan that was huge, but it fit his legs, and I took it way in, tailored it and everything, and you know, and then they're wanting to use this piece of junk, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is Carol Ferris. She's the vice president of Ferris Aircraft. This gal wears power suits and Louboutins. She's not going to wear some old ratty, you know, piece of junk flight suit, you know. And I'm getting into the comic mentality. You know, this gal, she's very classy. She's, you know, and you see her clothes on set. She's in power suits, mini skirts, and Louboutins. She's not going to be wearing some G suit that's 15 years old.
No.
You know, that's Carol Ferris, you know, she probably drives a Mercedes or whatever, you know, it's also Blake Lively, you know, and it's like, I fought that till the end. To the end, I would not give up. I'm like, no, I'm telling you. And she's like, well, I want this one. And I'm like, okay. So I fitted it, and it didn't fit. I knew it wasn't going to. Now, I probably could have made it fit, but it was going to be a whole ton of more work that I had already done with this other one. And I said, just let me try this other one. That's all I asked. Just let me try. So I put it on. I didn't even get done zipping it up. And Blake goes, oh, this one fits much better. And I was like, I didn't say a word because I knew my work was going to speak for itself.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be like, nah, I told you type thing, you know, and I wasn't going to do that to some Hollywood professional either, you know. And she steps back, she looks at it, and she's like, all right, Ryan, you win. And I said, I'm not trying to win. I just know I'm like, this is my stuff. I know what's going to fit and what's not going to fit, you know. And but, you know, deep down, I was like, I won that one. You know, but the girls in costume were pretty funny. They're like, you can't tell her no. I don't know how many times I heard that. I'm like, yeah, I can. But we butted heads a few times. But there was one day she kind of just, all right, you win type thing, you know. And that was one of them. But we learned to work together. You know, it was she won a few, I won a few. There was still things I didn't like, but I bit my tongue and went with it. And, you know, again, it's a Hollywood movie, so not everything's going to be totally right or accurate, you know. But you hear all these crazy things online from these people that are like, oh, well, the ribbons have to be wrong. You know, they have to make so many mistakes, and there's no rules like that. It's just, no, the guy putting them together didn't know what he was doing. You know, and it's, yeah, I don't know. If you look right there,
Mm-hmm.
that is Ben Browder's ribbon rack from SG1.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
I actually have it. And that particular one was never seen on screen because that actually has his Medal of Honor.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
But if you go to the beginning of season 9, when he goes, you know, he walks up the ramp and he's like touching the gate and Gary's talking about, oh, do you know who that is? And
yeah,
you look at his ribbon rack, it's like that.
oh weird. Oh wow, that is so cool.
So they made this because he did get the Medal of Honor, but they never used it on screen.
That is so weird.
So that's one of my questions. Well, I've been in talks with Val Halverson for a while, and we've
Hmm.
been talking on Instagram, and she's supposed to let me interview her this year.
Oh,
So I have
cool.
a whole list of questions under my keyboard, and this is going to be one of them. Who made the decision to not go with this? Was it just, oh, he would never wear it in public because then he couldn't say why he got it because it was classified? Or did they just not want him to wear it because they were afraid they were going to offend somebody in the military side of the things, or they were maybe advised not to by
Yeah.
by the real Air Force consultants that they had on the show. So even though it was written into the story, and we had we saw it later, he was in the bed recovering, and everybody came in and they thanked him for saving everybody, and they did the whole backstory, and we know that he got the Medal of Honor. Or was it a thing that was just Ben's character and he was never really going to wear it because that's just who he was? As we know, the personality of Cam was, I don't care, I was just doing my job type thing.
Yeah.
Which true heroes, you get that attitude from them a lot.
Hmm.
And but it's pretty cool that I was able to do it.
Yeah, that is supremely cool.
Yeah, there was a lady that had a whole bunch of stuff that came from Continuum,
Oh,
and she
wow.
was just looking to liquidate it. And I bought the entire box of stuff from her because there was a few things in there I wanted. And I
Yeah.
got down to this, and I realized what it was. And there was a card and stuff with it from production. It was just in a plastic
Yeah.
bag, and
Oh,
I've
wow.
got his wings, his name tag, and all kinds of stuff. And actually, I got like 10 name tags, but
Oh,
you know,
wow.
I've sold a few off. I take those to like conventions, and that isn't stuff I put up on the website. I'd
Yeah.
save that stuff for really, I'd be like, hey, these are real, and they got little stickers from production and stuff, and they're like,
That
oh
is
wow,
really cool.
So I sell them to people that are really going to appreciate them. It's not just about making a buck, and that's,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you look at all the close-ups of, his awards, they'll be exactly the same as Purple Heart and Navy Cross and everything else. But yeah, you never know. There's so many questions I have still, and I could do this every day of my life and still learn something every other week about Stargate. It's just, it's I wished I could have worked on the show. I really did,
Yeah.
just the level of, but I think back then they didn't even know what they had. I mean, they knew to a point, but there was so many people that
Yeah.
worked so hard, and it's a shame to me that it never really took off to the level of, Star Trek or Star Wars or
Yeah. I mean,
whatever.
it was incredible.
It
It
was, and
totally should have been up there.
it's still timeless, and there's so many fans
Yeah.
out there. I've talked about so many times. I wish, MGM would get out their checkbook and just do it right again.
Yeah.
But now with streaming and everything, it's just made everything so convoluted. We're right back where we started with cable. The whole reason they wanted to go to streaming was to get rid of all these different cable channels. Well, now everybody's just doing their own streaming. So that by the time you pay for all the different streaming services, you're right back paying your $150 cable bill. And it's just,
Yeah.
and some people still have cable, so it's even worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, by the time you do Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and whatever else fringe stuff, if you like CBS and DC, and there's all these lower level ones, and MGM tried it. What they should have done, as well, 2020's hindsight, but what they should have done was started an MGM streaming platform. Period.
That would have been cool.
Put all your 007, put all of your big properties that MGM owns, and put all your Stargate on there.
Yeah.
Then,
That would have been amazing.
they could watch origins or the original movie or whatever they wanted, but you can flip over and watch Moonraker,
Yeah.
and your favorite 007 movie. Had they done that, I think it could have survived.
Yeah.
And then just kept it at the $20 a month or whatever, and just, sure, it'd been a lot of content, but now look,
Yeah.
and if there'd been in every MGM movie, I mean, they could have just released it. I mean, Disney pretty much took down Netflix to a point, but now I'm sure they've seen a resurgence, so it's just times are changing. I mean, the movie theaters, I mean, I've even heard that AMC is going to struggle to keep theaters open. Luckily, our local theater, he's still scraping by, but he had to shut down for all this too. If it's there's a funny TikTok video of this girl that talks about, craziness, and she's like, if 10 years ago you told me Trump was going to be president, that there was going to be an app where people sit in their cars and talk to tens of thousands of people and nobody's allowed to go to work, and she had this whole list of things. It was really funny.
Yeah.
And it just sounded totally insane, if you would have.
Yeah. Life is crazy sometimes.
Yeah, it's just.
So
Go
so
ahead.
what's your favorite thing about being a costume designer?
My favorite thing,
Or can you pick? I mean,
honestly, the biggest joy I get out of it is getting those pictures back, or getting pictures from a con, whether they're with a celebrity they never got to see before, or getting that picture of the guy that from the UK that bought a Jack O'Neill hat for his son, and then his son got to meet RDA a couple months later, and just the guy Instagrams me the picture, tags me on it, or what, that. And it's kind of along the same lines, or to see these kind of, I guess you would call them success stories. um I'm not going to name any names or anything, but I've had a few customers where either say their parents got a hold of me, um maybe they had a little bit of a learning disability, or they just were they struggled with anxiety, or depression, or whatever. I've had all different experiences, and that's stuff that I keep very private. I don't really talk about it, but in this instance I will, because those are the things that have probably been the most rewarding to me. To get an email later, you know, for that surprise Christmas present, or that costume that I made for some little girl, their mom had me do, or, even the kid that just, maybe he's a little overweight and he got teased a lot in high school, and just, he's always been kind of that geek, but, nobody really liked him. And then get an email back after his first con, and he's just exploding with joy because he couldn't go 10 feet without somebody wanting to stop and take a picture with him. And just his mind was blown. And then get a 3-page letter thanking me for just making him a costume that probably only took me a few hours. I guess that would be, to me, the most rewarding. I mean, sure, yeah, I've worked on $1 million movies and stood next to Ryan Reynolds and had him play practical jokes on me, and those things will live with me forever. But to get those emails from the dad that's not sure if his wife is going to live because she has breast cancer, and they sit and watch Stargate every Friday night as a family, and he wants that costume for his son for Christmas, or there's so many. I just don't talk about it.
yeah, that's
But
amazing.
that's what keeps me going. It's just, it's be able to change that person's life, even if it's for a day, you know, where they can go be somebody else, you know, or feel that they're a better version of themselves if that's what I end up accomplishing for them. But it's rewarding in those ways, I guess. You know, like I said, I don't do this to get rich. I do it because I love it and I enjoy it. And I've taken a lot of flack over the years. I've been attacked a few times. Recently, I was attacked on YouTube. A guy did a whole video on me because he thought I was some satanic Mason cult member because I had a Stargate patch on my jacket. But
Well,
yeah,
if you're going to get attacked for something, a Stargate patch is one of the top things to go for. I mean, you know, I've been people think I'm in a cult for less.
I got some more subscribers out of it, but I just
Hey, it all works.
yeah, it took me about 3 days to get the video taken down because he violated my privacy and just
Sorry about that.
16-minute video on how I was some satanic cult member because I had an earth patch on my jacket. And
you gotta wonder about
the problem was I couldn't show the video that the photo was from because the video was my entry to the Stargate the biggest fan contest, and MGM owns that video now, and I couldn't even show it. So I was all I had was a couple stills that I took with my camera the same day, and I was out filming my video. And I had my costume on, and I just held my phone up and took a couple selfies and was like, oh, yeah, being a dork, and used it for an avatar on my Facebook page. And next thing I know, I'm a satanic cult member working at a Masonic lodge or whatever. Oh my God. It was ridiculous. But I mean, I didn't sleep for like 2 days. I was so upset. I was so mad. And I tried to talk to the kid too. Like I truly tried to talk to him, you know, and I could tell the guy was depressed. He had struggled, you know, and I did some digging and, you know, and he's like, how'd you get a hold of my mom? You know, how'd you get my mom's phone number? Well, I didn't. I sent her a message on Facebook and I asked her to call me. That's how I got her number. It came up on her caller ID, you know. But you know, and he was like, see, he's like CIA and all that. You know, I was like, oh my God, dude.
It's called modern technology.
Yeah, I mean,
get with the program.
It's scary how much is out there, you know, and how much people can use against you, you know, and it's just so. Yeah, she called him and yelled at him, and then they got a big fight, and she blocked him. She blocked me, and I've never spoken to her since. But you know, I wasn't gonna bother anymore. I asked her just to try to talk some sense into him, and she tried, and she just, you know, but obviously he's having issues, and I hope he gets some help. But I have to get a hold of law enforcement and file police reports, and it's just ridiculous. But you know, and I get it. I get it. I mean, this is a crazy time, you know, and that's why this is so cool. You know, we can still do a con and try to do this online and
together in a positive environment. It just kind of helps everybody calm down, I think.
I hope, you know, there's so much stuff that you can be doing, you know, and there's people that I've collaborated with, Darth Lexi. She's on Instagram every day. She's doing just little $5 live videos for kids that want to talk to their favorite cosplay character or whatever. And
that's cool.
She's amazing. You know, I did a whole Carol Danvers flight suit for her, and she had this professional photographer, did all these amazing pictures and stuff, you know, and I collaborated with some of the, you know, but they've got so many followers, you know, to me, that's better advertising than anything you can pay for.
Oh yeah.
You know? So
organic's always best.
Yeah, I would seek out, you know, and I look at these people and look at what they're doing and where they go and the people that they, you know, and I saw a picture of her at the premiere later with Brie Larson, and, you know, I saw her in a group photo. And so I reached out to her and I said, and it took me a while because I was so overwhelmed with orders, and by the time I finally got around to getting it done and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, well, you talked to me months ago about that." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I did it and sent it off to her, but she did some great pictures and tagged me, and I'm not I'm only a one man show most of the time, so
Yeah.
I mean, I collaborate with a lot of people, but it's when I'm just down in the shop, sure, I wish I had a team, and
Yeah.
if and there's people that I could use every day, but they just don't live around me,
Yeah.
if I if I had millions of dollars, sure, I'd open up a shop somewhere and say, "Hey, why don't you move here and do this?" But I mean, Stargate's changed people's lives. Everything. I mean, you can
Yeah,
listen
it,
to
it changed mine. It just totally changed my worldview, and it's an amazing show.
everything, or you listen to the interviews Amanda's done from, the women that have come up to her that she inspired. Some of them went into the Air Force because of it, and became doctors or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think those are some of the most rewarding things from them. And I've had a lot of great talks with, most of the celebrities from the show at least know who I am. I mean, and it's just I've never met anybody, celebrity wise, as real and personable as your Stargate cast members. They just, and I'm sure they're out there. I just, I haven't got to hang out with the cast of Hawaii 5 or CSI, but I know those type of people because I had a gal that worked for me in the Navy, and she was a huge CSI fan. And she was leaving our unit. And as a thank you, I contacted an autograph lady I know. And I said, would it be possible to get this guy's autograph? Because she liked one of the guys from the show. And unbeknownst to me, she ended up talking to whoever, the cast, and they found out about it. So instead of just him, they wanted to give her the whole cast.
Oh, that's amazing.
And yeah, this was back in like '06 or something like that. And this was about the same time that Amanda did the whole reenlistment thing for me. So I ran into the lady in Vancouver. So I caught a hold of her when I got back, and I said, "Hey, can you get me this guy's autograph? I'll pay for it. I just want it personalized." I said, "She's been in the Navy for years. She's a hard worker. She did a ton of work for me over the years. I just would like to surprise her." So then I got an email back. She's like, "Well, we got it done, but it got ruined, so we got to redo it." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" So what had happened was the whole cast had signed this photograph for her.
Oh no.
Well, Grissom, the head dude, was away, and he came back and he got ready to sign it, and a cup of coffee got spilled on it and
Oh
ruined the
no.
whole photograph.
Oh
So
no. That's terrible.
Grissom's back, but some of the other cast members weren't there. They were gone. So they had to get everybody back to sign it all over again. She finally got it to me, and got it to me like literally like a couple days before this guy was leaving.
Oh
But
wow.
I was able to give her this autograph of the entire cast, and it was signed personally to her.
Wow.
So, when they found out she was military and all that, they just,
Yeah,
they reached out, and it was amazing. And,
that's really
I,
cool.
I didn't get anything out of it. I forgot to even take a picture. I was so rushed to surprise her with it.
Oh.
And her going away party had already happened and everything, and it like showed up, and literally she had like a couple days left, and I
Oh.
took it into work, and I said, "All right, this is late, but," and I gave it to her, and she was just like, "How in the world?" And I'm like, "I know people."
That's amazing. It's been so great to have you here. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to people that are watching?
uh, I don't know. Thanks for watching. If somebody sat through an hour of this, they must be pretty bored, I guess.
It
I don't.
was really interesting.
was. Thank you so
you.
much. I'm so
I,
glad we
I
were able to
just
have you.
I
And
just
then
don't feel
also-
that important.
And also, Ryan, if you'll send me your links for your TikTok and all your social. I know I have Facebook, but I don't have like if you're on Instagram or that.
And
Well, the Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that are all Stitches Loft. They're all
Oh, perfect.
and we'll
Okay.
include a link to your website as well, so people
Yes.
can see that and your YouTube and everything, so they can connect that way. But
yeah. The biggest thing is everybody tries to put that E in it. It's STITCHS.
Yes.
And it's possessive. So everybody
Yeah.
tries to put the E in there. And there is like a Stitches something. But if you just Google Stitches Loft, it comes up
Yes.
pretty quick.
Yes.
well, we'll include the links for that. And thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
sharing
much.
with us. This is
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. You guys
Thank
stay
you.
safe, and I definitely appreciate the time and the plug. So
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your night.
Great rest of your night. Bye.
all right, thank you.